a sit-down with allies.
It's very good to see you again and have this opportunity to talk about the challenges that faced in Ukraine and to reconfirm to you again our steadfast support.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky meeting on the final day of the Munich Security Conference. Starmer will join European leaders in Paris on Monday for an emergency summit. The continental leaders are raising concerns about being shut out of the Trump administration's push to mediate an end to Moscow's nearly 3-year invasion of Kyiv.
If we are supposed to take some responsibility, Europe must sit at the table as well.
During a panel discussion on Sunday with the Finnish president and the prime ministers of Croatia and Iceland, the leaders all echoing the same message that Europe needs to be a part of potential Ukraine peace negotiations.
I think the message coming out of Munich now and also coming out of Europe tomorrow, and whoever is going to be involved in those talks, is Europe needs to be a part of this process. Ukraine needs to be a part of this process. If not, this type of ceasefire is not going to be credible.
These discussions coming a day after the U.S. Special Envoy for Ukraine and Russia appear to say that Europe won't have a seat at the table for Ukraine peace talks.
So the Europeans who have provided as much or more support than the Americans in this process, you don't think should be at the table directly. You think it should be two protagonists.
I said I'm a school of realism. I think that's not going to happen.
Keith Kellogg told the conference that the U.S. would act as a mediator in the talks, with Ukraine and Russia as the two protagonists.
The fact is, we're looking at, you can have the Ukrainians, the Russians, and clearly the Americans at the table talking, but we've got to have specifics to get to a point.
Trump shocked European allies this week by calling Russian President Vladimir Putin without speaking with them or Kyiv beforehand and declaring an immediate start to peace talks. One political analyst saying these past few days has presented conflicting messages out of D.C.
Both on the question of who negotiates, what are the positions of the United States, what is the expectation towards Europeans. So I suppose that Mr. Zelensky is still trying to impact even the process.
Meantime, Zelensky also says he has directed his ministers not to sign off on a proposed agreement which would give the U.S. access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals.
It's not in our interests today, not in interests of sovereign Ukraine.
The proposal was a key part of Zelensky's talks with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance on Friday, but it reportedly did not offer any specific security guarantees in return. Afua Baah, City News.